Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Katie and I teach Yin Yoga. Today we are going to do a quick Yin Yoga stretch for after a run or a walk. So as the weather gets nicer in my part of the world, I know that I am more likely to get outside and to enjoy the beautiful weather. But that stiffness that we feel after a walk or a run can be a good time to get deep into the fascia, the connective tissues of the body, and to increase flexibility. This is especially good a few minutes or maybe a short amount of rest time between your walk, run, and this practice, because we don't want to push too far into muscles that might be warm, because otherwise we're not going to get that flexibility benefit that Yin Yoga provides. So for practice today, you can practice with nothing at all, but if you do have some yoga props, namely a blanket to pad the kneecaps, especially if you're on a hard surface, that might be handy. Some yoga blocks might come in handy as well. And whenever you're ready, pop off your shoes, get down onto the floor, and I'll meet you in tabletop position. Good, so you'll come into tabletop position, stacking your shoulders over your wrists, your hips over your knees, and I want you to tuck your toes here. So if you have to kind of lift one knee to get the toes tucked and then the other, that's great. Maybe reach back and get your toes to come along. And then we're just gonna take some cat-cows here. So on an inhale, drop your belly, lift your chest up, lift the face. And on an exhale, tuck the chin, round the spine, and as you do, push your hips back to your heels. Nice stretch for the feet. Inhale, drop the belly, shift forward, look up. Exhale, tuck the chin, round the spine, shift back towards the feet. Good, one more like that. Inhale, drop the belly, scoop forward, look up. Exhale, tuck the chin, round the spine, push the hips to the heels. And then pause here and close the eyes, connect with that sensation in the toes and the arches of the feet. If this is really intense, I want you to lower yourself down onto your forearms. This is kind of my preferred way to do this practice. But if you're not feeling a lot of sensation, you can walk the hands in closer to the knees, maybe up onto blocks, maybe even to the thighs, and you come upright. Now we're gonna be here for about a solid minute, so give yourself a version of this posture that you can sustain, and then come into slow, steady breath as you drop into the body. Starting to slow down the thoughts and the body after your activity today, whether it was a walk or a run, whether it was indoors or outside. And just find some gratitude for the feet, the legs, the whole body for carrying you physically through this life. Try to relax and melt into the edge of the sensation rather than pushing or fighting. And whether you're low to the ground like I am or you're sitting upright, let's take about 5 more slow breaths. With your 5th exhale, maybe you take a big sigh out the mouth. And then as you're ready, bring your hands back to the mat. And we're gonna walk the hands towards the knees and then lift the hips to come into a forward fold. Bend your knees a lot here. Maybe adjust the distance between the feet. And just let the belly drape towards and over the thighs. Relax and hang through the head. Maybe give the head a generous shake, yes and no. Maybe you wiggle out through the hips. Fingers can stay on the floor to support you, or you could take opposite elbows here for a little bit more traction as you hang. As you're ready, soften the gaze or close the eyes again and just surrender to the stillness of this posture. Feeling this draining sensation through the upper body, maybe through the back body, the backs of the hamstrings into the feet. Try not to force anything here. Just let gravity do the work of dissolving the tension in your legs, your low back. Notice if you're clinging to your sense of sight. If closing the eyes feels like too much, just let the gaze blur here. Notice if you're clinging to each breath with anticipation of this posture being over. Just let it go and let it be. Take just a few more slow breaths here. And then if you've got opposite elbows, release them. Bring the hands to the mat and just start to walk your hands forward to come back into tabletop. And then untuck the toes once the knees come down. Sit the hips back to the heels. Slide the hands in to come up to sit, hips to heels. And you can stay here if this is a lot for the ankles, or if you want a little bit more, you can bring your fingertips behind you. Maybe even lifting the knees. We'll just be here for about 5 breaths. Just be patient with the intensity of the posture. Try not to, again, push beyond the limits of your body. Listen to your body's wisdom. And you can keep your chin tucked to your chest if you're back on your hands like me, or if it feels good, you can drop your head back. I've got a shelf here, so I don't quite have the space for that. But if you'd like to drop your head back, lift your chin, and feel free. Let's take one more breath. Send the breath into the tops of the feet, the ankles. And then let's come forward back to tabletop. And then after a moment, tap out the tops of the feet. Good. From here, you're gonna walk your hands a little bit forward and you're gonna bring your right foot outside the right hand, maybe wiggle it up there. And come into a lizard lunge here. In yin, we call this dragon. So for dragon pose, the target area is the front of that left hip. So if you've got some blocks and you'd like to bring them underneath the hands to bring the floor closer to you, you can really get deeper into that front left thigh. If you don't have blocks, just work with what you've got. Maybe you take a little wiggle here. If there's discomfort in the left kneecap, try tucking the left toe, lifting the left knee, and then setting it back down. Sometimes that moves the kneecap out of the way. And we're gonna find about 2 minutes in dragon pose. If you'd prefer to come down onto your forearms, you're more than welcome. It changes where the sort of sensation is in the body, but if that's what you need today, that's what you need. You know your body better than I ever will. So in dragon pose, finding that yin-like softness, surrender, relax the muscles, and really melt into the joints here, the ligaments. This pose is definitely more yang in nature. See if you can't find the yin, that softness in the kind of toughness of the yang. Let's take about 3 more deep breaths here. Try to stay patient with the stretch. And then as you're ready, we're going to take this into a twisted dragon. So your left hand is going to move further out and maybe even up to the left. If you're on a block, you might release that. I like to come to the floor, but just to make this work for you. And then right hand's gonna come to the right thigh and you're gonna twist the heart open as you push the knee away lightly. So you can stay exactly like this. You're welcome to sort of sink into that left shoulder. Maybe for you, it feels good to come down onto the left forearm. Again, you can stay exactly like this, or you could pick up that back foot, reaching the right hand back. Getting a nice stretch for the left quad here. Breathe. So anywhere along that spectrum, twisting the heart to the right. Last big breath in here. And then slowly, carefully unwind. And make your way back to tabletop. Take your time. As you come into table, maybe a couple cat-cows will feel nice here. You might notice the difference between the left hip and the right. Maybe you'd like to come back into child's pose for a couple breaths, bringing the forehead down. Just a moment to integrate before we move into our last posture. And if you're in child's pose, come back to table. And then from table, we're gonna walk the hands a little bit further forward so that we've got room to bring that left foot forward. And again, you can use your hand or you can just walk the foot up there. Outside the left palm, turn the toes to the left side. Good. So again, the target area is the front of this right hip. So in order to find that, we have to lift up a bit. So maybe for you, that means hands come all the way to the front thigh. Whoa. You can tuck your back toe to move the kneecap out of the way, set the foot back down. And maybe a little wiggle is necessary to get used to this shape. Just settle as soon as you're ready. We've got about 2 minutes in dragon. So see if you can't turn off the musculature, relax that right glute. At any point, you could follow the body's cues. Maybe you lift or lower any props that you might be using. Maybe you feel called to come onto the forearms, either on blocks or on the floor, to take a little bit of pressure out of the front of that right thigh. Whatever you need, take it. We've just got about 5 more cycles of breath. All right, from dragon, let's take this into that twisted dragon. So bring the right hand further out, maybe even a little up, so that you can kind of drop the hip towards that left. Nope, that's the right hip, isn't it? Twist towards the left, pushing the hand into the knee or the thigh here. You can start to roll onto the pinky edge of that left foot if that feels nice. You can stay just as you are, or you could pick up that back foot and then use the left hand to hold on to the right foot here to get a nice opening through the ligaments that attach the quad to the hip flexor on the right side. So remember that yin yoga targets the fascia, not the musculature. So we want to turn the muscles off as best we can and just sink in. Let's take a few more deep breaths here, about 3 to finish our practice. And as you're ready, slowly unwind from this twisted dragon and take your time, just be cautious. Coming back to tabletop. Whew. Good. And then coming through for easy seat. So once you're seated, you might take a couple moments to sit in quiet meditation today. Maybe legs up the wall if you're near a wall and you'd like to turn this off and just rest there. Otherwise, just find a comfortable place to sit. Close the eyes, roll the shoulders up to the ears, back and down a few times. Feel that lightness in the spine as you let the spine relax and rest into this easy upright seat. Sweep the arms up overhead. Take a big inhale. Maybe you float the eyes open. And then bring the hands to heart center. Big open mouth sigh. Bow your head. And take a moment to be grateful to yourself for taking time for this practice and to the opportunity to live another day. Shanti, shanti, shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me. If you liked this video, please do give it a like. And if you haven't already, subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you know every time I share a new video. If you'd like to practice with me one-on-one, I offer Zoom sessions, as well as in-person sessions if you're in Kansas City. Would love to see you soon. You can find all that info in the description box down below. And down below, I would love to hear how this practice went for you, what your favorite pose was, and if you've got a favorite playlist or song to walk to. Drop that in the comments below. I'll share mine. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next Monday for another video. Bye.